Merry almost Christmas, YouTube. So tonight, we are going to be making, or start making, cinnamon rolls, which is our annual tradition for Christmas morning. So we're going to start out with some milk. I've got a cup of milk at about 105 degrees right now. I just measured it. And to that, we are going to add 2.5 teaspoons of active dry yeast. I'm just going to give this a little stir in here, mix it up. And we're going to let it sit just for a couple minutes to make sure that the yeast is active. I'm going to add a little bit of our sugar. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to our yeast, because sugar is actually what the yeast likes to eat. And I happen to be using some lactose-free milk right now. So that's just a little trick. And we'll go from there. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes and we've got a good frothy head on our yeast and milk. I'm going to add to this 1/3 cup of melted butter. I'm using salted butter for this. We will use unsalted butter later on for the inside filling. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. The remaining portion of my 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. We're going to add to that 2 eggs. These are mostly room temperature. And most recipes I've seen don't use cinnamon in the actual bread portion. I'm going to put a tablespoon in here, but our family really likes cinnamon, so I'm going to add a little extra, just because. I'm going to grab a whisk. We're going to whisk this up real quickly before we add our flour. I'm not fully incorporating everything in here. I'm just getting it a little bit mixed. Get the rest of the egg white off of here. There we go. Alright, now to this mixture we're going to add 4.5 cups. I've got bread flour here, so I'm going to add about half of it initially. I'm going to set my dough hook. We'll let this run for just a minute. And I'm going to start adding the rest of my bread flour. All right, our dough has completely gathered here. See that the bowl is pretty much clean underneath. I was getting some hot water just in case it didn't fully gather up, if it needed a little bit more wetness to it. But it's nice and pliable. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna kind of ball this up real quick, and we're gonna cover it up with a hot towel. And because our home is rather cool right now, I'm gonna put it in our oven on proof just to help keep it warm, and it will help the yeast stay activated. So that's our dough for now. We're gonna let it rise for about an hour or so, and we'll come back then. All right, welcome back. We are going to be making our filling. So this is the filling I've been using for kind of several years. So this is about a half a cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna put in here. I've got a half cup of granulated white sugar. You don't see many recipes with that. And I've got 3 tablespoons of cinnamon because we like our cinnamon. I'm just going to incorporate this into my mix. Some of the brown sugar clumps are still very clumpy. We'll break them up a little bit. And then I've got half a cup of unsalted melted butter here. I'm going to set that aside. Need kind of a big surface, so I am going to flour my surface well. And we have our cinnamon roll dough from the oven that was proofing. It's not quite double in size, but it's done pretty well. Put that out here. Put a little flour on top of this so we can roll it out. So our goal for this is to try to roll this into a large rectangle. So I've got a rolling pin here. We'll work it a little bit this way. Pretty good dough going here. I'm gonna square it off a little bit. Kind of like so. It's probably a little more than a 1/4 inch thick. I'm just going to brush off the excess flour off the top because I don't need it on the top. Alright, so I'm going to get my melted butter and I'm going to just pour this on here. This part gets a little bit messy. I've got a food brush, and I'm just gonna paint to about the edges. I'm gonna leave about a 1/2 inch or so space that's dry, where we're gonna try to connect everything. So I've got this big pool of butter, which is what we're looking for. And we're gonna add our dry mixture, which is then gonna incorporate with the butter. Trying to spread it as evenly as I can out of here, and then we get to practice our massage technique. All right, so we're just going to spread this out by hand. Okay, now that we've got this, we're gonna start rolling this. And ideally we want the roll to be pretty tight. So I'm rolling it across the narrower width. So from here, I'm just going to kind of pinch it down a little bit. I'm not overly concerned. I've got a serrated knife here. I'm going to cut off the ends, which is just dough, to the point where I can kind of see some of our cinnamon, brown sugar filling here. And this side's already oozing out. So I'm going to cut this in half. That's kind of what we're looking for. And I do about 1.5 inches or so rolls, about that much in depth. And we're just going to place them out here. This one a little thicker. Maybe get to the end. And this one will just be kind of an oddball. So we're gonna do our cinnamon rolls 2 ways this year. We're gonna do the traditional with the cream cheese frosting, and we're gonna do sticky buns, which I've never tried before, with pecans and some brown sugar with, I believe it's cornstarch. not cornstarch, corn syrup. All right, so I've got my rolls here cut. I'm going to stop filming here, and we're going to transfer over to the stove, and we're going to make our sticky bun sauce. So real quickly, I'm going to put about half of these in here. I buttered half of my tray, and I'm just going to place them in here. These are going to expand out and they're going to expand up because they've got no room to grow. So we're going to do about half of these like so, and then we'll do our sticky bun sauce on the other side, and we'll come back and fill this up when that's complete. Okay, so we're gonna do the sticky bun sauce. So I'm gonna use about a tablespoon of butter here. We're gonna use about a 1/3 cup of corn syrup, which I've actually never used before. I'm gonna actually use about a 1/4 cup just because I don't think we need that much. And we're going to add a 1/3 cup of brown sugar. So all we're hoping for here is that this basically liquefies like it's doing. Turn this heat down all the way. And we're going to add some chopped pecan. And we're just going to incorporate this. We're not cooking anything here. We're just getting it liquefied. And I think we're probably done. Okay, we have our sticky bun pecan sauce here. We're gonna just dump that into our other half. Gonna spread this around. Try to coat more or less the bottom of the pan area that I'm gonna use for this. And we're gonna stick our cinnamon rolls on top of this. And then we have our interesting thing there. So we've got our sticky buns here. I'm going to cover this up again. This is 11 o'clock at night right now. We're going to have these in the morning. So I'm going to cover this up with a hot, wet towel. I'm going to stick it in our oven on proof so that they will continue to rise overnight. Hopefully in the morning, this will be jam solid, nice and well proofed, and we will bake them then. So good night. Good morning, YouTube. We are back. We've proofed our cinnamon rolls overnight. This is what they look like now.
We're going to throw these in the oven at 375 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. We'll kind of eyeball it and see when they're done. And then we will go to the next step, which is going to be the frosting. See you in a bit.
Our cinnamon rolls have finished cooking, but since we've done sticky buns as well as regular cinnamon rolls, we have to turn these over. This is a difficult process. If you were doing regular cinnamon rolls, you could just frost them in the pan or eat them as they are. So we recently made a spice cake with cinnamon cream cheese frosting. This is the excess we had from that. We'll put a link in the description below on the cream cheese frosting, and you can choose to add cinnamon or not.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you check out our channel for some other new recipes. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to see when we post new videos. Feel free to comment down below some new recipes you want us to try, and we'll see you next time.